got very quiet in here. Actually, before we start, I want to bring up our friend Mike Nelson, filmmaker Mike Nelson, who's going to treat you guys to a little special bonus content for this panel. Mike, are you in this room somewhere?
Let's go, Mike! Let's go!
We may have lost track of him. All right. Well, we'll come back to that once we locate him. He's good. Okay. All right, then I'm going to just go ahead and start. I'm going to bring out our panelists for this morning. Welcome to the Bold Voice of Contemporary Horror. My name is Michael Lerman. First, I will bring out curator of the Midnight Madness program at the Toronto International Film Festival and producer of films like In Violent Nature, Tina Romero. Next, Fangoria writer Andrew Melanson. Filmmaker of the upcoming film Queens of the Dead, Tina Romero. And writer of Malignant, Megan and the Nun 2, Akela Cooper. Before I jump in with our guests, we're going to give you a quick look, as we always do, at the last year in horror, since we had this panel last year. So can we hit the lights? So that's our last year, but let's take a little look forward. But I want to start with Tina, since you are a newcomer on this panel. And I'm going to ask you something we ask everyone when they're new to the panel. Do you remember the first film that scared you?
Oh, Willow. For sure. The hogs taking over the camp just to stay me in. And then I think Secret Life of Nim.
Yeah.
And then my dad showed me Jaws at like 4. And it was done. Bathtubs, swimming pools, oceans, forget it. Aquaphobia is definitely something I caught young.
Yeah. You mentioned your dad. I'm curious, when was the first time you saw one of his movies?
I don't even remember, to be honest. I mean, I learned to walk on the set of Day of the Dead. I definitely sat on a zombie's lap before I met a mall Santa. I think, I don't remember the first time that I saw it, but there was no censorship in my life. We watched everything.
Yeah. We've talked a little bit about, for the rest of the panelists, your history, but I'm curious, kind of, if since you're coming back to the panel, how has your perspective on horror changed at all in the last year, and where we're going, where we are right now? Is there anything you see differently? Is there anything you saw that inspired you? Let's do a one-year check-in. I see Akela really think about this, but
it's pretty cool that a horror film got like 4 Academy Award nominations and 1 win.
Yeah.
And was directed by a woman. I mean, we all watched the Substance. I think we watched the exclusive Substance trailer here last year, and just see the remarkable trajectory of that film was amazing. So, like, I can't think of the last time too that like the opening bit at the Oscars was like a riff on a horror set piece. Like, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I love this thing for me personally. It's, the vampire in the room, which is Sinners, was incredible. As a black nerd who loves and writes horror, what Ryan did was amazing, and he got an original horror idea out there when IP is God right now, and it's kind of like, it was that same feeling when Get Out came out for me, where it was like, hey, I now have something to point to. It's like black-led horror is successful. And so I was really inspired by that.
Last year I was kind of talking about how I felt like we were shifting towards fun horror and gross horror, and we've seen a lot of that this last year. The Substance, amazing. And then also The Ugly Stepsister. That movie every year. Both directed by women, and it's just getting so gross and so fun. With something to say as well, but also people squeamish in their seats. I love it.
Yeah.
I feel like we've seen a lot of horror films just pursue eliciting a vocalized reaction from the audience. And I think that's what's so fun, and why the horror genre endures as a theatrical experience, because it's really fun to be in a room and just make all these noises together as you're watching a film.
It's funny, so you mentioned Ryan and what he did with Sinners, which I think we all thought was incredible and had the biggest reaction in this reel that we just showed. What I find kind of interesting that's happening, and I was curious if anybody wanted to comment on this, is this idea of filmmakers that have not made horror before moving into the space. Like, all of us kind of live and breathe this and have been doing it around the clock, but I'm curious about what you see in terms of filmmakers that have honed their chops in other places, moving into that space.
Honestly, I think it's great. Like, horror is a big tent. We're all one big, nerdy, welcoming family. And so it's like, the more horror that is out there, the better, and the more successful it is, the better for the rest of us who want to do that.
Yep.
And everyone's afraid of something. So, I mean, I don't think you have to be into the genre to explore your fear and your anxieties within the framework of the horror.
Yep. Yep.
Also, I feel like often horror kind of gets treated as like a lesser than genre. So to have these people coming in and they're cutting their chops on like these giant studio films, and then they come over to horror. It's like, yeah, everyone's a horror film, whether secretly or outwardly, but it's like these guys coming and then wanting to do horror films after they've done all this ginormous stuff is pretty cool.
Right.
First dance break.
Everyone, I'm afraid of that.
That's not a request.
Oh, did Chris Nolan say he wanted to do a horror film? I can't remember. I didn't see that, but it's possible.
Yeah.
Anybody else read that?
Yeah.
Maybe we're one person. We're just manifesting it. Chris Nolan, make a horror film, please. Well, okay, so look, we're at Comic-Con. We should preview a few things. Let's start by Tina. Can you tell us a little bit about your upcoming movie?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, Queens of the Dead is very much continuing, carrying the torch of my father's, but putting a little bit of my own twist on it. It is about the zombie apocalypse breaking out in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and we find ourselves at a big gay warehouse party. And everybody who's involved in the party has to get above their drama and figure out how to survive the night. Do they stay? Do they go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's horror, but it's also comedy.
It is a campy, rompy time.
Can you talk about kind of juggling those two things?
Yeah, this has been on my mind a lot, actually, when it comes to horror, and what speaks to me is the idea of tone, and like nailing tone, I think, and personality in a film, and like trying to find that balance with your actors about how in on the joke are you when you're in this world? How in on the joke is the audience? How in on the joke is the audience? How much does the audience know if you're in on the joke? So that's something that we talked a lot about for Queens, because we wanted it to be, I think queerness and camp really go together for a lot of reasons. But we also wanted to get to the heartfelt stuff too. So you kind of have to strike the balance there. So it's not too, like, finding a way that they're authentically going through the scary night, but also having fun while we're doing it. And so I think that's, like, this cast is so special and so amazing. And we found it. We found the sweet spot, I think. And it is silly, but it's also like they are committed to the experience. They really are scared about the zombies coming to life.
Yeah, that's great. It's fresh off the presses, so unfortunately we're not going to show you anything today, but we're going to plug it. And I know that we have another massive fan of this movie on this panel hiding over behind you this week. I was talking to you.
It is me. I was like, oh, I think all of us are.
You kept looking like it was Peter.
It's all of us. So as soon as Tina walked back, and I was like, dude, I love you.
I think it embodies what you were saying earlier about you predicting that there's this trend of like joyful horror. I think we had a wave, and it's still ongoing, of like horror films that were unpacking trauma, but there can be joyful catharsis in the horror genre, and I do think there has been a lot of great, fun horror films. I think Queen is absolutely indicative of that, but also there's a lot on the way. So.
Yeah, and I think it's like great to get horror that centers like underserved communities who don't often get to see themselves in horror, where it's not like all based around trauma.
Yeah.
There is that fun, and it's like it's just a new, what would be if it was like a cisgender white dude, a normal situation that these people have been thrust into. Well, it's not normal, it's incredibly effed up. I've been told I can't curse on this panel. Which was disappointing. Oh, then you can curse.
Yeah, it seems to stop there when we have that conversation.
But I think even look at something like Sinners, in which the characters like really fight back and there's like badass moments. It's not just like complete, depressing horror. I mean, when I saw Sinners, I was like, this almost felt like an Indian Masala film, where like the characters, even though they're oppressed within the historical context of the film, they also take out machine guns and just like mow down like land at the end. Like it's odd, like there is real like joyful catharsis at times.
Yeah. Akela, you're no stranger to kind of fun horror, joyous horror in some ways. Can you talk a little bit about mixing that tone in? Because you've done things like Nun, but you've also, Malignant.
Well,
Effing crazy.
I am gonna get one fuck in this panel. Yeah, it's I also grew up with two parents who let us watch everything, short of like graphic sexual stuff. Like I couldn't watch Basic Instinct, for instance. Like that was where my mom was going. But growing up, like I would watch with my siblings and be hiding behind the couch, or like college was really influential for me. It was like me and my female friends would watch these horror films, either renting them or going to theaters to see them, and we would just sit in the theaters. And we would have that shared experience of like laughing and cackling and like being scared with a group of people. And so whenever I'm writing horror movies for me, I am picturing my 19-year-old self and my buddies either in our dorm room watching these movies or in imagining a theater. It's like, all right, the three of us are in there. What's this scene gonna do for my younger self? Is it gonna make us laugh? Is it gonna make us, scream? And if it's not serving that purpose, it's like I really am writing my horror movies for an audience of three.
Yeah, for your close friends.
Yeah.
I'm told we've located Mike Nelson. Are you here?
Right here.
Come on up.
Yeah!
Hi. You guys want to see something cool?
Yeah!
Well, let's roll it, right?
Do you want to set it up at all, or what we're doing?
No, I don't think so. Let's just roll
Like,
it.
you want to say anything? I know we have to release you for another panel, but do you want to say anything about it before you?
No, that was just, honestly, that was for you guys for today. And if you want to stick around, I'm going to show you guys something else in the Friday the 13th panel.
Since we
I heard garbage day by the way up there.
yeah, I heard somebody say respect the whole row over here. But since we're touching on the topic, I'm curious about remakes. I'm curious if there are films that stick with you guys that you think should be remade in the horror genre, or if there's things that you think should never be remade. Things you'd be interested in.
You can get on your high horse. You can never remake anything. But like so many of the great horror movies are remakes. Like John Carpenter's The Thing is a remake. The Blob has been remade, and both versions are awesome.
Yeah.
There's a countless Invasion of the Body Snatchers and the whole television series. Mileage will vary with some of those, but there's at least 3 of them that I really like.
House of Wax, 2005.
House of Wax.
House of Wax, 2005.
So, I don't know. I mean, I do think sometimes the issue is that the studios look at a film that really works, and then they go, let's do it again. Instead of maybe looking at a film that maybe didn't work at the time, had an interesting premise, and like revisiting that premise and taking a new spin on it. I mean, I'd love to see more of that. Let's look at some older grindhouse or exploitation titles that maybe had like a really fun hook, or maybe the film didn't deliver on the poster. Actually, that just made me think of, I'm working with Stephen Kostansky right now on a reboot of the Deathstalker films. Kostansky's he's a horror filmmaker, And his problem with the Death Stalker films when he was a kid, he loved them, especially Death Stalker 2, but they never lived up to the poster. So with this new film, he's like, I want to adapt what those posters promise. So like, I want to put the really gnarly monsters that were in the posters of the Death Stalker film, and he's putting them in the film, and I've seen it. There's like a monster every 2 minutes. Every establishing sauce of monsters.
Is there something you've written?
Yeah, I agree that we should look at the earlier films that didn't quite make it instead of going after everything that worked. And saying that by no means I'm saying these films did not work. But if there were 2 films that I could get my hands on and remake, it would be the 80s Silver Bullet. And Shudder.
We're manifesting that too. Akela's gonna write both these remakes, and Christopher Nolan's gonna make a horror movie.
Chris Nolan.
I want to see Chris Nolan's Chud.
Tina, what about you?
I've heard rumblings about an Attack Killer Clowns remake in
Yes.
Yeah.
Clowns are in?
Prom Night comes to mind.
Yeah.
And actually, my dad's movie Jack's Wife, aka Season of the Witch, I think is the only one of his I've ever touched.
Really, yeah.
But that's, for those of you who don't know, it's one of his earliest movies about a disgruntled housewife who takes up witchcraft as a hobby, and some freaky things start happening. And I just think that and I say that because that was the one he would have wanted to do, because he would have loved to try it out with a little bit more technology, with a little bit more money, and see what happens then. But I generally, I think, I'm excited to see what comes out of, I'm more excited to see what comes out of the minds of the indie filmmakers and the new stuff.
And Sinner's proved too, like, it doesn't have to be IP. I mean, we've seen that scenario in countless of other movies, but it was made original and fresh, and audiences still showed up.
Right. It's a great music movie. We could just spend this whole panel talking about it.
Yeah, that's a Sinner's movie.
Angel, do you want to add anything to that?
I'm always cautiously optimistic about remakes, I'll say. I'm not like a total snob about it, but it's very rare. It's kind of like Peter said, we need to go back to things that maybe, like, we don't need to remake Lost Boys necessarily, right? Like, that film, I could put that on for my 16-year-old nephew and blow his mind today. But so stuff like The Thing and The Blob, those are perfect examples of something where it's like, the original was great, but this built upon it. So seek out that stuff if we're going to remake.
We'll have time for questions, I promise. I'm gonna turn to Peter, because you've had quite a big week.
Yeah.
Speaking of upcoming films.
We just announced yesterday the 2025 lineup for the Toronto International Film Festival's Midnight Madness section, and I actually, one of the reasons why I wanted to come back to you all is because I wanted to share some of the films that you can look out for that I think are going to define where horror is going. There's a lot of fun horror.
Before you go through the list, can you tell us some of the ones from the past?
The Midnight section began in 1988 with Hellraiser 2 Hellbound. To open the section, and certainly set the tone. I mean, since then we've had, we premiered Cabin Fever and the Hostel films, Saw, Insidious, It Follows. Mike Flanagan basically owes his start to the success of Oculus at our section. So we have a long history with genre cinema. Also, Takeshi Miike kind of was announced to the world at our festival as well. He'd been making movies in Japan obviously for a while. But I think we've made like 10 of his movies that was definitely stripped of horror genre frequently.
Yep.
But we've got a whole bunch more that you want me to do a quick rundown? Or?
Yeah, just tell us about some of the horror ones, and then.
Well, the thing that I think this room would be really particularly excited about is that despite being incredibly prolific television showrunners who made some of the best shows for genre fans like Pushing Daisies and Hannibal, Ryan Fuller's directed a feature film with Mads Mikkelsen and Sigourney Weaver. It's called Dust Bunny, and it is the perfect movie for a budding horror fan as well as a veteran one. This premise is such a Brian Fuller premise. It's basically, imagine if like Rob King or Paul King or Jean-Pierre Jeunet got together and remade Leon the Professional. but made it a horror film. So it's about an 8-year-old girl whose foster parents keep getting eaten by a monster under her bed, and so she goes next door where Mads Mikkelsen lives. And he's a hitman, and she uses her piggy bank money to like pay him to kill the monster under her bed, and it takes this premise like completely seriously. And it's a total creature feature romp. David Dastmalchian is in it as another member of like the hitman community. It's like totally out of John Wick. Sigourney Weaver like runs all the hitmen, and she has stiletto shoes that have pistols built into their heels. It's really, really fun. Full of like delightful creature feature spook 'em up sequences. Really excited for the world premiere of that. But I have to flag the scariest movie in my lineup is Cory Barker's Obsession. I don't know if anyone saw Milk and Cereal on YouTube. This is a really amazing found footage horror film. Check it out tonight. He's known for his YouTube comedy series as part of the That's a Bad Idea troupe. But this film Obsession, it's a very simple monkey's paw premise that I think anyone can relate to, where you like someone, they don't like you back, and you wish that maybe they would fall in love with you. This shows how that wish is not only a toxic wish to make, but one that can come back at you horribly. And it is so scary. I'm really, really excited about that one. But I also have something, you want me to set up the clip?
Yeah, I want you to set up what we're going to show.
Okay, so I also have something from international horror cinema. This is a debut film, but from a creative that some finally framed with a woman with like a carton of cigarettes in both her eye sockets. So it's a pretty extreme movie, but not as extreme as the survey. Nothing is. Don't watch.
I promise. I'm going to head over to questions soon. We're going to do a few minutes of that, but I wanted to ask before we get there. Is there something that you think horror should be moving towards? Is there a direction we should be going from here? Is there something you haven't seen that you hope to see more of coming up? Okay, deep in thought.
Important question.
Too big?
I'd like to keep seeing more of the fun shit, as you were saying. You know, I really am. I call myself an edgy cheeseball, and I really gravitate toward the you know, like Megan, Abigail. These are the types of movies that have a little bit of whimsy, a little bit of personality, and are mashing up things that like are dark and light. That's what I love to see, and I love to see. I'd love to. It's a miracle to make a movie. So I want to see the fresh voices. I want to see new stuff.
I mean, given that we just showed you an international trailer for a horror thriller, I'm hoping that audiences are going to continue to be curious for international horror, and that American distributors and Western distributors are going to find more opportunities to platform international horror. I mean, the fact that Ugly Stepsister has been so well supported by I've seen Shudder is terrific, and it's not just Hollywood making horror films, and I encourage you all to like seek out other countries' exploration through horror. I mean, again, I said this at the top of the panel, like everyone is scared by someone, and that crosses borders and nationalities, and so there is just so much exciting horror in Japan, in India, in Indonesia, in Kazakhstan, and yeah, just never stop being curious. I just hope horror as a genre never stops being curious.
We're going to take questions in the center. We can line up right here at this microphone. Before we do that, real quick, before we do that, anybody that asks a question, we have a goodie bag for you that you can get over here afterwards. You can circle over to Rachel right there. By the way, can we get a round of applause for Rachel? She's put this together. It's really amazing. But included in this bag, among other things, is a little whistle for, you mentioned I've seen Shudder. I've seen Shudder's upcoming film Whistle from this fall.
Don't blow it. Don't blow the whistle.
But we also have one more thing to show you before we turn over to questions, and that's another clip from an upcoming I've seen Shudder film. They've acquired the rights to the Mortuary Assistant, this video game. Does anybody know this game? So we're going to just show you a couple minutes. So you can expect that 2026 from I've Seen Shudder, our good friends. That was a Comic-Con exclusive, so that's first for you guys in this room. Okay, let's turn over to questions. This guy has been very excited to ask something.
Hi, I'm Holt. It's amazing to see Tina Romero is here. horror. Sorry. I'll repeat that. Hi, my name is Nico. It's amazing to see Tina Romero here, carrying on her father's oral legacy. I love how Damien Leone's franchise of Terrifier pushed boundaries with extreme practical gore and art of the clowns, shocking boundary, pushing villainy as horror involves our audience and festivals becoming more open to ultra-violent indie horror, or is there still a line that limits wider distribution?
I guess the question is about like whether we feel like there's a line.
Yes, is there a line in distribution for gore or for intensity?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, did you find there was ever pushback in terms of how far you go? I mean, your movie, it keeps things rather fun, so it's not like sadistic. But I mean, I'm making a movie for IFC right now, in Violent Nature 2, and I don't think there's a line. At least, I mean, I think it's all a tone thing. I think when it comes to presenting violence in horror films, there's a tone thing, because I think there is such a thing as mean-spirited violence in horror films, and perhaps that's the aesthetic project of the film, what the film is trying to get at or make a statement. And at other times, it's, you know, it's something that actually is off-putting and is offensive. It can be offensive. I think it's the audience's judge the judge to determine whether it's or not offensive. That's something the filmmaker can't always control. But it's certainly a conversation we don't make films in terms of what tone I think all of us are trying to hit.
Yep. Anybody want to add to that? Okay, we'll rapid fire through. Cool. You can, Rachel's got a bag for you. Come on.
Hey guys.
Hey.
I just had a quick question since you mentioned it. I was going to segue to it, but In a Violent Nature, awesome movie. Saw it at Overlook Film Festival, which you should always check out. Where are we at on In a Violent Nature 2?
We start shooting in September. I can't say too much more about that, but the cast is being assembled. I can say this, that I think we had 7 kills in the first film. This is a sequel, so we got to double that. 14 in this movie. And we're really experimenting, though. We kind of analyzed what audiences loved about the first film, and we want to preserve all of that, but we want to continue to experiment. And so the first film was sort of an exploitation film, like Friday the 13th, in conversation with a Gus Van Sant film like Elephant. We're looking at a different art house film this time to collide with the exploitation genre. So it is going to have a slightly different aesthetic. It's still Johnny, it's still the woods, and it's still very Violent Nature.
I want to know if you're also has this festival.
Is it going to win Best Film again? Well, I'll say this. When we presented the script, all the producers at Shudder were kind of in complete disagreement on which kill would match the Yoga kill. Because frankly, Chris Nash, in what he's been designing, every kill is pretty outrageous this time. It's like Johnny is a full Mortal Kombat character now.
So my question is about one, if you could face off against any enemy in any horror movie, like Michael, Jason, Chucky, Art the Clown, who would it be and why? And it's to anyone.
As in, like, who would it be to survive?
Correct, yeah, you go one-on-one.
That we think, okay.
I'll go Pinhead, because I would know not to open that damn box.
Same answer, but I would open the box. We'd be friends.
Ghostface, because I'm hoping that he would lure Sydney in my direction.
See if you want to.
I'll go against Jaws and kick him in the nose.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Dr. Brisanano. Akela, thank you for creating such a queer icon who's so cleansing. I really appreciate it. I appreciated your energy on the Malcolm and Friends panel. Say fuck all you want and say whatever you need.
Unfortunately, there is a child in here, so I
mean, that's fine. So, as a queer trans Latino living in LA, I constantly feel like I'm in a horror movie and not the joyous kind. So thank you for, creating films for me to disassociate. If you could share, specifically Akela, if you wanted Megan to protect anyone who's currently alive right now in your life, who would that be and why? and if you wanted her to kill anyone.
Oh, I can't answer that.
Okay.
Incite violence in this thing.
Okay. Well,
You're
who
gonna
do you
get
want?
me a visit from like Secret Service on the way.
I think that answers the question.
Who would you want her to protect?
To protect
If she could, anyone.
Ghislaine Maxwell?
Thank you.
Not because I like that woman, but because we know.
Hi, on the topic of video game horror, so I fell in love with horror actually from the PlayStation 2 era. Video games, Silent Hill 2 is Evil 2, Family Frame, a bunch of games like that. I think that games go beyond jump scares, and there's a lot of like ability to build dread, just continuous dread in the player and agency, and immersive world building. Are there any like kind of tips that you take from video games in terms of thinking about horror, trying to think about the future of horror, any sort of writing that you think about horror?
I will just say on the subject of video game horror and adaptations of games, there was an incredible Japanese film at Cannes this year called Exit 8, based on the video game. And it absolutely does what you were talking about, just the idea of creating dread and creating tension through just duration, which I think so much of Japanese horror video games play with. And that's certainly something that we were considering with Violent Nature, where we are, we're indulging and luxuriating in the duration because that creates tension. And a lot of other horror filmmakers have been doing that as well. Skimring's a good example. I'm really excited to see Land of Nod and the Backrooms film when that gets made, when it comes out. But Exit 8, look out for it. I think it's going to be one of the best horror films of the year. And it's really unsettling, and it's all atmospheric. It's totally based on the video game grammar. So it's absolutely informative.
I'll second that. I think it rules.
Hello everyone. I was wondering what's the creative process behind an elaborate kill? Is it always filmed as the script describes it, or is it something that gets developed as the movies get on?
How much do you put on the page?
Yeah, when you kill, how much do you put on the page of kills?
It really depends. Like there are sometimes where it's like if it's a specific one-on-one kill, then I will things like what location are they in, what tools do they have, what mood are they in. But I would say for Malignant, working with James Wan, knowing what Act 3 was going to be, I literally just described, Gabriel comes out and then it becomes, I think I described it as a hurricane of violence and gore, knowing that James Wan was going to do what he does best. So yeah, for stuff like that, it's like the director's going to take it, he's going to be awesome. But like when you are writing your kills, again, you got to think about the specifics. And the fun part is that you get to put yourself in the killer's position. Like, how would you kill someone? Maybe work off some steam and some angst while you're writing.
Yeah.
And without spoiling things, Tina, like how did you sort of conceive of the various set pieces that the characters find in terms of what they inspired those, like the set pieces in your film? Because it's like a sort of a zombie siege movie, and there's different like levels to the attack sequence and stuff. How did that process work?
Well, I knew I didn't want any guns in the movie because I feel like it's too easy and boring to kill zombies with guns. And so it really started with the weapons. Like, what kind of weapons are they making? What do they have in the club to make weapons? And then what would be glittery? And then, I would say, similarly, I co-wrote this with my collaborator, Erin Judge, and she kind of let me take the kills, and the kills were very different in the script than they were in reality, mostly because of budget. But the weapons remained, and so then it was a collaboration with my stunt coordinator. I think we had a scene at the end of the script, which was like, all of the hurricane, it was like, a dance fest of kills on beat, or it was like some line that was like, turned into a day of shooting. But I think it's a little bit of both. A little bit of, the concept of the kill and the set piece being the thing that we started with, and then working with the actor and the stunt coordinator to figure out how the kill really goes down.
It often does just start with the weapon or the tool, and you kind of logically, build up from that. That's how Chris Nash comes up with stuff. He just goes, all right, drag hooks, 2 hooks. What could these do? He just starts. He actually honestly pantomimes it sometimes. I just left Toronto where he was literally just built, had a bunch of mannequins and was just kind of folding them around. And like, maybe this could happen, maybe this could happen. Our neighbors are concerned.
All right, next question.
Hello.
Hi.
My favorite type of horror movie is so bad it's good. I'm kind of very careful. Where do you think that kind of subgenre is going, or do you think it is going to be part of this more joyous type of horror movie?
Anyone have any opinions on the So Bad They're Amazing?
I mean, I have a lot of opinions, but I mean, modern. We had a group. We had a group during the pandemic who just watched So Bad They're Good movies for 12 hours every Saturday over Zoom.
I mean, my favorite thing about
Peter was part of it, so.
About those movies is that there's the movie itself and everything the movie is doing right and wrong, and the wrong stuff is so much fun. But there's the meta narrative that gets constructed where what makes a really bad movie great is when you can imagine it's making. You can imagine the people on set.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? The alarm is being investigated by the Melanson security. Please remain calm and wait for further instructions. May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? The alarm is being investigated by Melanson security. Please remain calm and wait for further
I trust this guy and he says, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
But no, but I mean, because I feel like the best way to enjoy a So Bad They're Good, I don't even love the term So Bad They're Good, because if the movie is entertaining you, it's not bad. It's making interesting decisions. At the end of the day, there's a great quote in the Troll 2 documentary, Best Worst Movie, where someone says, it's competently made, it's just every decision is so odd. And I think any movie that gets you to think about how it was made, and you know, Pat Oswalt has the great speech about Deathbed, which is like, they got through it, like they got to the other side. They were making a movie called Deathbed, and they finished it. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's why I find those movies inspiring. I think why a lot of horror fans find them inspiring, because it just makes you realize, oh, the ladder to create anything is right there.
But I'll say, and this is what I was getting to with us watching so many of them, is like, I think we shouldn't be encouraging people to try things.
Yes.
Right? Like, to me, one of the most interesting horror filmmakers right now still is M. Night Shyamalan, because he's still trying that.
Absolutely.
And he plays with camp and he'll play with other things, and it like, you can go, that's insane that you did that, and you might laugh at it, but it's still entertaining and it's still amazing in its own way. So.
And we need more of that, frankly. So like, you know, and some people think his movies are bad, some people think his movies are amazing. I think they're amazing. I love Trap. I have so much fun.
Yeah, I love Trap.
So yeah, no, I mean, I in terms of where the future of it's going, I think people will always try to make movies, and there will always be low budget horror films. I'm not a big fan of the more cynical asylum style ones that are just kind of like hastily made with a goofy premise. But like the really earnest ones that come out of original filmmaking, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Matt Farley and Charlie Roxburgh, who make films like Don't Let the Breweries Get You, which I think is one of the funniest horror comedies of all time. It's made for peanuts, and it's totally in the So Bad It's Good genre, but it's really in the So Bad It's Sublime genre. So yeah, I mean, I love it.
Thank you.
I definitely put that under the joyous umbrella as well, because I just have so much respect for anyone who's willing to put themselves out there. Like you were saying, anything getting made and getting finished and getting in front of people's eyeballs is a miracle. So something original and entertaining, it's joyful.
Yeah.
And no one sets out to make a bad film. Everyone hopes that like everyone is trying their best. And as Peter said, sometimes decisions are made and you go, what the fuck? But there's always going to be those movies, because there's like, as long as people are trying and they're trying weird new things, people like you are going to find those films and you're going to enjoy them for 12 hours a day on a Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, Malignant's an effing weird movie, and I love every minute of it. All right, we gotta move on because we're running out of time. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Carrie. I'm a big fan of the horror, especially the slasher and the horror comedy era. I've noticed we've had a recent trend of like fun horror comedy slashers, like Clown in the recent Clown in the Cornfield, and the upcoming In a Violent Nature too. So do you agree, like in this age with the slasher subgenre, do you think we might be in another golden age, or like a new type like that golden age, specifically in the horror comedy slash fun horror?
Golden Age of Slasher, Golden Age of Horror Company. Anybody?
If you go to the Shudder activation, it ends with this big mural of like all these monsters that Shudder Magazine was sporting, and I was like, oh my god, it is like the 80s again. There's like 6 monsters. There's Johnny, there's Frendo, there's the creep from Creep Tapes, there's the girl from Creep Tapes. I'm like, yeah, there's a murderer's row.
Yeah. It's a slasher renaissance. I feel like we've been moving the last 2-3 years. It's really amping up right now.
Thank you.
All right.
I want to see Tina Romero.
Last question, because we have to wrap up.
But we may have an extra gift bag for the gentleman walking away, if you want to check over here.
So it's gonna be quickly. If you can switch any movie to a horror, like The Godfather, or any other movie, like which movie you will switch to horror?
Oh,
Yeah. It's a big one to end on.
That's good.
Every John Hughes movie.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off is a horror film would be incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But it's Christine in the car attack thing.
Yeah, but did they steal the Christine car?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Maybe long stockings.
Hey, Kelly.
Oh my God.
I can see the wheel turning
Yeah,
around.
they are. There's like so many. They're all I'm just gonna like shout out my mom because she loves this movie from the 80s called Peggy Sue Got Married.
Yeah.
So that as a little film.
She's in the room, right?
She is.
Peter, do you have one you want to throw in before we wrap up?
I think we need to make a Star Wars horror movie.
All right. Well, I want to thank you all for coming. We got to turn the room over, but